Up? What is up? What is up? It is I, DaniMarie, your podcast coach and mentor, the host of Plan to Podcast, the podcast, and the admin of the group with that same name, Plan to Podcast. We are here doing podcast tools, trends, and tips for 2026. I think I'm going to be doing this live. I don't want to jinx myself because every time I say I'm going to do something on a frequent basis, it doesn't pan out because I am a mom at the end of the day. But I think we're going to be doing this live on a recurring basis, at least Monday through Friday, now that some of my time is freed up since the kids are back in school. Are your kids back in school yet? Goodness gracious, I stalled out for so long not wanting to put my kids in school, but goodness, does it help when you put your kids in school and allow them to do what they do and for you to do what you need to do. So that has freed up my time in a lot of ways. So I'm excited about that. Maybe your kids are not yet at school, but they are going to be going to school this week. So Lord, we just want to pray for the children that are going to be starting school back up. We pray for their peace of mind. We pray for their protection wherever they are in the world. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Today, like I said, we're talking podcast tools, trends, and tips. We're live here on Facebook, on YouTube, and Twitch. I need you guys to help me get my followers back up on LinkedIn. What I did was I'm kind of the spur of the moment, impromptu, whatever feels good at the moment type of girl. And so I just dived headfirst and deleted everybody on LinkedIn. I deleted my entire account, so I have to start from scratch. But I said, I'm so used to losing everything in life that it's nothing for me to just make that kind of decision. No matter what I might be losing, whatever is on the other side of it, I know it's going to be better. So help me to start from scratch on LinkedIn. Follow me over there. It is actually, for the very first time, I'm breaking my trend. It is I, DaniMarie, on other platforms until I deleted LinkedIn. So it's Coach DaniMarie now on LinkedIn. Coach DaniMarie. We're talking about my top 2 tools in my toolkit. We're also going to do a lot of shout outs for the members within my community. We're going to do some podcast tips, some podcast news, all of the things. Drop a comment in the chat where you're tuning in from. Drop a comment and tell me a little bit about your podcast, whether you are in the launch phase, the growth phase, or if you're ready to start monetizing. I want to hear from you. Let's get some engagement going in the chat. And how was your new year? What's your one goal or one word to define your plan for this year? Let me know. We just wrapped, like not even 15 minutes ago. I just did a webinar, which went very well. So in the webinar, we were discussing HoneyBook, the CRM tool, and how and why you should be using it if you are a creativepreneur or an entrepreneur. So that was very neat. I appreciate those of you who tapped in, and the replay will be available on our website. As a matter of fact, let me share what that link is so you all can make sure to go follow it or go and visit the website. So it's very easy. Plantopodcast.com. If you've been wanting to start a podcast, but you don't know where to get started, if you go to that website right now, there's information at the very top of the page. The first thing you will see is details about getting started. If you want resources, because maybe you've already been podcasting, but you just need more material to help keep you and sustain you, go visit that website. So many replays, things that I teach. We do Podcast Power Hour every Thursday at noon Pacific Standard Time. So all of the replays are over there. Everything from how to use Suno to create intro and outro music to using Taylor brands so you can get your business license. If you've been doing this hobby podcasting thing for a while, but you're ready to convert to a real business, go to Taylor Brands, but go to that website again, plantopodcast.com, for all of the replays, for all of the links and things to help you get started, but just to tap into a community. You need, in my opinion, community, good content, consistency, and a coach in order for you creativepreneurs to keep going, to help sustain you through those rough patches, through those plateaus. And those 4 things are extremely important. And so hence why I try to make myself accessible and create the resources for you all to do the things that you need to do so that you too can create a sustainable platform, whether that is just as an influencer, a content creator, a podcaster, whatever. So coach, of course, consistency, great content, in a community. Tap into community. We hope you will join us in Plan to Podcast. We have had an influx of members to join us over in Plan to Podcast. So I want to give them all a quick shout out. Hello, for those of you who are catching us live, type live in the chat. Some of our top contributors: Leonard, Kevin, Nadine, Sierra, Sasha, Nick, Jacqueline, Jamie, Jennifer, Asia. Forgive me if I mispronounced your name. I just want you to get the recognition that you deserve. We appreciate you. Again, though I'm streaming to other platforms, I want you all to know I'm speaking directly to my community. We are growing a thriving community within the Plan to Podcast Facebook group, and I'm giving them a shout out. And this is what happens when you become a member. You get a spotlight, you get shout outs, you get support on top of support from me. So I want you to know that I will continue to show up for you as long as you continue to show up for yourself. Thank you all for those of you who have been top contributors. And I want to give a special shout out to a few individuals. So the first one I want to give a shout out to is, I'm not going to say her last name, but Jennifer. You know who you are. You came in the group and you've been incredibly transparent about where you are at on your journey, the things that you need help with, and you've reached out to me individually and been such a big contributor in this short span of time within our group. I see you. I appreciate your light. I appreciate your willingness to share. I appreciate where you are on your journey and how real you are with yourself. These are the things that are important to grow. The first thing is recognizing when you need help, when you need a support system. So tapping into the group is big on you. So I just want to give you that spotlight. The second person I want to spotlight, and this is the community spotlight, community MVP. Let me see here. Shout out to, and I've been working with him on and off for a while. And I want to give a shout out to Jamie. Jamie, I want to give you a special shout out because even though you haven't been able to plug in per se to any things that we do live, what I appreciate about you is that you're always asking, is there going to be a replay? I can't make it. Can you please help me with this? Can you do this? Can you do that? And so even when maybe the times are not aligning with your schedule, the times that we're live and we're doing the in-person events or the virtual meetups or whatever, you still try to be active the best that you can. And so I appreciate that about you. So shout out to Jennifer, who is newer to the group and who has been very transparent with the group about where she is. And I can see and sense the fervor, the excitement. And I know you're going to go to do amazing things on your platform. And shout out to Jamie, who's a veteran of the space, but hasn't been able to plug into anything that we do live. But you're always asking, what other ways can you still get information and still get the value? So even when you can't show up, there's no excuse. You can still participate at the end of the day. So shout out to both of you, and shout out to all of our top contributors this past week, our community MVP, all of those things. You guys, again, if you have not yet started your podcast, I want you to comment the word plan in the chat and join us, Plan to Podcast, on Facebook. Comment the word plan. I will send you a podcast planner. and it's going to help you gather your thoughts, get everything in order. Though it may seem so trivial and mundane, I'm telling you, it's the first step to longevity is you need to have a plan. And I talk about that because that's a part of my framework. You need to have a plan. You need to have a good production. You need to have a platform. You need to track your performance. You need to promote. And then once you've done those things, I'll add in a 6 and 7 P. So then there will be times you pivot and above all else, profit. So when you get these things in order, everything else is just a banger from there. So make sure you comment the word plan. We're going to send you, it seems so trivial, like I said, so rinky-dink and so trivial. It is a Google form, but I've been doing this for a while. So trust me, you got to trust the process. These are specific questions that you need to answer so we can gauge where you are at in your process. We help you flesh out all of your ideas. Google is the most familiar thing. So you fill out these things on the Google form. That's not where it stops. Then after that, you get your answers. You're going to plug those answers into a chat GPT. Chat GPT then is going to tell you what you need to do step by step based on how you answered the questions. But then that's not all, folks. Okay. Then you can take that same planner and you can plug into everything else that we have. So like I say, I am building a framework because it's a plug and play system. After you filled out that Google form, this helps inform everything else that you do. Whether you need to revamp your studio, by the way, if you are there, comment the word studio. We have your plan that can tell us what equipment you need based on the type of format you have. And then we can use that same plan to plug into our custom GPT to help you revamp your studio if that's where you're at. Or if you're ready to start scaling, we have a system for that. You plug and play that plan into the next thing. And so that's why having a plan is so important. I cannot stress that enough. All right. We're also looking for new guests on our podcast, Plan to Podcast. This is going to be to help inform other potential podcasters on the stages and what it actually looks like behind the scenes. So call the number 253-349-2134 and let us know you're interested in jumping on the podcast. We're going to actually have a university of content that's available for any person who needs the information, and they just can be filled with so much insight from everybody who's been on the platform. So we want you to be on our podcast, Plan to Podcast, if you have at least 3 months experience as a podcaster. We want to have you. So call that phone number 253-349-2134, and my assistant will get you scheduled with a info session so we can talk more about what it looks like to be a guest on Plan to Podcast. Okay, without further ado, let's get into, we did our shout outs. Let's get into the pod news of the hour. Did you all know that numbers were up this past year in terms of streams and listens? Hold on, you guys. Of course, when I have everything in order, now I can't find what I need to find. Now, I'm not sharing my screen, but I am using my notes, so that's what I'm looking for. Hold on. Again, let me know where you're tapping in from. Let me know your word of the day or of the year as we're entering into 2026. And then let me know if you are watching live, comment the word live. If you're catching the replay, comment the word replay. So 198,488 new podcasts were published in 2025, which is just a smidge higher than what it was last year, 198,280 in 2024. So growth is small, but launches are actually higher because many new shows reuse old feeds, meaning people are experimenting more and pivoting faster and testing new ideas. The biggest takeaway: consistency and clarity beats chasing trends. So I actually have Plan to Podcast on, well, in terms of my RSS feed, real simple syndication, or what I like to say is, just like you have fingerprints and a handprint, your podcast has the same thing, which is the RSS feed. So real simple syndication is RSS, but it's the feed that you basically have. You can plug and play that same RSS feed and move it to platform. So I've been doing Plan to Podcast for maybe 2.5 years at this point, but it's been on a hiatus. And so I've repurposed that RSS feed, even though before, I think the last time I recorded was back in January of 2024, but don't hold me to that, under that name. But I've since relaunched and I've moved back to that same RSS feed. And so that's what they mean by experimenting and pivoting, testing new ideas. I've tested different platforms. So I took Plan to Podcast, put that on a brief hiatus, moved into Podcasting for Newbies, the podcast, and now we're back to Plan to Podcast, the umbrella company. Because I do believe that Podcasting for Newbies kept a lot of you guys stagnant right here mentally, meaning like I'm going to stay stuck here in the beginning stage. I'm not going to evolve. I'm not going to grow. I'm not going to challenge myself. So then I said, hey, yeah, because I'm evolving as a podcaster. I'm evolving as a person. I meet only people around me that plan to do the same. So we need to go back to Plan to Podcast, because that is the genesis. That's where you start. But then Plan to Podcast is also a building block for what you do moving forward. So therefore, we went back to Plan to Podcast. You might be pivoting back to something you did previously. You might be doing something different altogether. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of people in the same boat who have launched a podcast, decided to repurpose some of their old content. They're experimenting more, pivoting faster, and they're testing new ideas because things are changing so quickly in the industry. And so it's okay to allow yourself permission to change things up, switch things up, go back to what you were doing, stop doing it altogether, or what have you. But then this is also why a plan is effective. A plan helps you to make those pivots where needed. All right. So that is the podcast news of the day. Podcast tip of the day. How many of you guys actually warm up before you how many of you warm up before you start recording? Excuse me. And by warming up, what do I mean? Warming up your body, warming up your face. So if you've ever saw or bear witness to maybe, I don't know what the word for them is, but they're a coach. They teach voice lessons. Or I have a friend, Lorraine, shout out to her. She teaches piano. So her thing is teaching you about posture and how to get yourself warmed up in the right position for piano, because sometimes you can be down here so much that you just don't take full inventory of your posture and your body. Same thing. As a podcaster, we're using our instruments, our facial expressions, our mouths. How many of you actually warm up before you press record? That is just a reminder for some of you guys who are not cognizant and thinking about that you can actually do warm up activities for your neck and your jaw release, your lip trills and hums, breathing resets, and tongue twisters. Tongue. See, that was one in of itself. I have a lot of tongue twisters. Sometimes my brain is moving quicker than my mouth, or the other way around. So just to warm yourself up, take some deep breaths. I have one of my friends and clients that I have to remind sometimes about that, because I recognize it, because I do it. Sometimes, especially depending on the topic of your podcast, sometimes it can be very heavy, very weighted. I know a lot of you guys are in the true crime space. A lot of that stuff may be entertaining, but a lot of it is also a lot to deal with. So just warming up your mind, even to start taking on these very convoluted, difficult topics. How many of you are warming up? So I'm going to give you a few quick tips before you even speak. Try rolling your shoulders forward and back. You can even do that now for those of you that are listening to me right now. Warming up your shoulders. Shout out to Tango. Shout out to, I'm pretty sure I turned this down, but it didn't work. Tango, JR, who are watching. I like that question. I'm going to go back and answer that question. Do that now for those of you that are listening. I just wanted to make sure that I could still be seen and heard. So you guys may hear the phone in the background. It's a little bit of a delay. But roll your shoulders forward and back. And then gently shake your arms, right? So you carry a lot of tension here. Again, especially if you've just been going through a lot, doing a lot, you carry a lot. All of the tension is typically carried up in this area, right? And I'm not the expert. I just know from firsthand experience. So shaking your arms. For me, I'm on my computer probably 14 hours out of the day. So a lot of it is right here for me, in the shoulders, in the neck, and in my arms, in my wrists. So do some of these things. Shake your arms. Gently release your jaw. Pretend that you're yawning. Okay, do all of those things. And then breathing. Most podcasters talk from their throat, and that's why they get winded. Speaking of which, let me take a breath myself and be intentional about that. So inhale through your nose and hold it for 2 seconds, and then exhale through the mouth for 6 seconds. So am I going to do it all? Hold it, exhale for 6 seconds. Do that 3 times. So inhale for 4 seconds through your nose, hold it for 2 seconds, and then exhale out of your mouth for 6 seconds. Repeat that process 3 times before you hit that record button. Just practicing being intentional with your time, the space. It helps you slow things down, helps lower your heart rate, keeps your voice steady and not trembling, and helps with your pacing. Even if you're not doing a podcast recording, maybe you are being a guest on somebody else's platform. I tend to want to just overshare. And sometimes I have to remind myself too, because when I jump into it, I'm just give all the information away. Remember your pacing. Sometimes before you even jump on, remember to do that exercise. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 2 seconds, exhale for 6 seconds. I had my favorite teacher, my favorite instructor when I was in college, Dr. Phil Vendetti. I think I learned from him. You can also do this a few times to slow down your heartbeat, right? So if you get very anxious before public speaking, just do one of these numbers or do those breathing exercises. And then lip trills and humming. Make a soft bird sound. So fun fact, I used to take theater in college, and those are some of the exercises that we have to do to warm up our mouths and our bodies. And then the la, 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 da, da. So even though you're not doing voice lessons per se, you're still warming up your instrument, your voice. La, 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 da, 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 etc. And then pick one tongue twister. Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather. I can't do it. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather. Nope. What is that one game? You guys, that's where I have ADHD. What is that one game that's viral right now where they cat, rat, bat, hat. Cat, cat, tap, tap. So that's another kind of example of it. Do that for fun. But here's another one. Unique New York, unique New York, unique New York, unique New York. Unique New York, try that on for size. Or of course, the famous Peter Pepper picked a pepper. I don't know what that whole thing is. Peter Pepper picked a pepper. Try that. I'm going to try to do that from now on. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. Unique New York, unique New York, unique New York, unique New York. Peter Piper picked a pepper. So doing that exercise helps you reduce stumbles and mumbles on the mic, which I do often, which I allow myself the space to continue to improve in that area. But I'm very aware you might notice it about yourself too. But there are things that you can do to actively practice on your public speaking, starting with these tongue twisters, breathing exercises, and voice warm-ups. And then check your energy. I used to work in a call center for much of my career in one way or another, working in the call center. And of course, they always had little messages around the call center. One of the most repeated things that we saw was remember to smile, because whether you know it or not, people can feel the difference when you're smiling. So fake it until you make it, smile. That always helps to enunciate and to sit up straight and to project. When you're smiling, the energy changes when you are intentional and you're trying to keep a smile on your face, whether you're audio or video or not. Okay, so that is my advice. I want to quickly go to this question because I love this question and I don't know. So shout out to Junior Sparrow, who also has a group, who also has great success as a podcaster. I'll say, in my opinion, great success. I know sometimes we can be very critical of ourselves. He's probably going to say, hey, it's moderate. I wish I could be doing more or whatever. But I will say has great success. And so for anybody that shows up consistently and is building their own community and their own following, I say that's a success. And I know that he's often shaking hands and rubbing elbows with some really, really cool people. And so I think that a lot of the things that he does is admirable. So somebody to look to. So check the comment section. You never know. Make sure you follow these people who are in my comments, okay? Because you never know who you're going to come across. You never know what they have for you moving forward. So he's also very good about, what is that? Going back to pull people forward. He's never forgets about the small fries or the small fish in the pond. So he's always good about that. And so he's also an encourager and a supporter. He'll drop in the comments and say, here, I want you to see this because I think this person is somebody you should also look up to or do some things and pull some ideas from what they're already doing. So I love Junior for that reason. How do I know if I'm leaning too hard on the camera? I do that often. What I say is go back and look at if I think I know what you mean by that question. I think the true tell sign is when you turn your long form into short clips and it kind of shows you where you are. If somebody was to clip up that episode and you put that up as a reel, it tells you whether or not you need to move forward or come closer. If you don't like the fact that you're all up here and people can see your nostrils and your hair in the nostrils, then you probably need to position yourself differently. If you're using a laptop, maybe you might need to use a camera. If you're using a camera phone, maybe you need to use a laptop. Check where you are seated and positioned. It may be helpful to put some tape down, like clear tape or blue tape, that helps you mark where your seating is and make sure you always stay there in that seated position. Make sure your chair is always lined up. But I think the true tell sign is when you convert that long form into short clips, depending on Where you are positioned in that reel tells you whether you are leaning too forward into the camera, if that's what I understand your question to be. How do I get confidence to do all of this? I love that question. Practice makes perfect, so we're never as confident. But I will say the more you continue to show up and do the thing, you obviously will become more confident. Another thing that I like to do in my downtime, especially when my kids are not around, I will stand up in the middle of my living room and I will talk to myself. I used to do Toastmasters. And if you know anything about Toastmasters, the whole objective is to help you become a better speaker, a better presenter. And so maybe when you have some downtime, and these things and exercises may seem so trivial and cliche, but it's these small exercises that are going to help you in the long run, in the grand scheme of things. Put a few things in a hat, right? A few random hot topics, a few questions, a few off the wall words or statements, and then see if you can actually talk about that thing. Practice talking about that thing. So it might be talk about Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss was like the biggest thing in my childhood. Everybody loved Dr. Seuss books. Dr. Seuss was so cool. We all wanted to read the book. We all wanted to be Dr. Seuss. I love how he scaled and made the animated movies. My favorite Dr. Seuss book was Red Fish, Blue Fish, or, I don't know, but that's something I have to work at. It's like, how well can you explain things? How well do you retain things? And how well can you speak about a particular topic for 30 minutes if you're put on the spot? That helps you to perform better. Try Toastmasters. That's something I want to do down the road within community. I probably would charge for that community. I don't charge for much, but I would probably charge for that. It would be something to the equivalent of a community where we're practicing hot topics and being put on the spot, practicing our public speaking. But confidence doesn't necessarily just mean what you say. It means how you show up. So for me, there was a long stint where I still showed up even when I didn't also look the part. So because I've been struggling and because I've been trying to find my footing and find myself as a single parent, maybe I didn't show up in the best light, but I still showed up. I still gave myself grace. So maybe a lot of you guys are avoiding the camera because of what you look like, but I think putting yourself out there, no matter what the judgment might be, is also something that helps build confidence. You can't tell me nothing if I'm comfortable with myself, number one. So I think that also goes into it. But then also getting your own merch. Sometimes that helps position you and boost your confidence, helps you show up in a uniform where you don't have to worry about maybe not having all of the nice outfits, the nice clothing. If you have a standard uniform, wearing your own merch, and by the way, this is mine. It's a partnership that I have. Plan to Podcast is my brand. Plan Too Hot is the Too Hot is me emphasizing my partnership with my partners, Too Hot Radio or Too Hot Tickets. There's more to come about that, but essentially we'll be working together and doing more on the road podcast pop-ups. So this is my brand. The merch is available. You can go cop that at plantopodcast.com. Let me drop that in the chat again, not even the chat, the banner. But the question was, how do I show up confidently? So far I said, practice doing your own public speaking, maybe in a room. By yourself, you throw up a few random words or thoughts, put them in a hat, pull one out and practice recording yourself or timing yourself to see if you can speak about that particular topic. Another thing I think I suggested was showing up online, even when it feels uncomfortable, just to push yourself to feel comfortable doing something and stretching yourself beyond other people's opinions or what you think you should look like or what you think you should be doing. Just do it. And then you'd be surprised how many more people you impact. I remember when my kids were 2 and I had a baby, 2 and just born. Sometimes my kids would be in the background of my podcast episodes and I was judged for that. But then other people would say, I love you so much because I could never, but you did it. So now I'm reconsidering. Maybe I will too, especially moms. The third thing I said was to boost your confidence, maybe buy your own merch. So you show up as the expert and you feel good and you won't have to worry about, maybe I don't have all of the nice clothes or the outfits I would want. At least I can hide behind this uniform. So I love that question, JR or Junior. JR or Junior, however you prefer. I don't know what the Diddy game is. The best place to reach me across the internet, it is DaniMarie.com, or it is DaniMarie across all social media platforms, with the exception of LinkedIn, which I just changed. It's now Coach DaniMarie. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm looking at the chat, you guys. I appreciate the love. I saw Tango's My Word Is, which I exited because, hold on, let me see. For some reason, the comments are not showing up in StreamYard. But I tried to use my phone, which is also a pro tip. Make sure that if you are on your laptop, you still have your phone. So you can still try to do both. Make sure you're showing up in all the places that you need to show up in. Make sure you're visible, can be heard. There's no issues with your mic. That's the best trial that I know. So all of that said, let me quickly go into, I gave you the podcast tips, some podcast news. I gave you some shout outs. I'm going to spend the last 20 minutes talking about my top 10 tools in my toolkit. Top 10 tools in my toolkit. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are the top. All right. Like I use these every day, all day, nonstop. Would highly recommend them to all of you. And this actually was an impromptu list. So lean with it and rock with it, okay? Zoom. Yes, I know that I'm using StreamYard right now, and there are other platforms that you can be using. Ecamm, Riverside, StreamYard, all of the things. I love Zoom. I will say that for however long, but I love Zoom. Zoom because you can do so much more than just live streaming. Of course, you can pre-record and live stream. There's the AI summary tools, which you probably get in other platforms. There's the scheduling features, so you can actually create a landing page where people can go and book with you. So at one point, I was doing like 5 different shows. Motivation Monday, Mommy Meetup, Life Unscripted with DaniMarie on Tuesdays, Throw It Back Thursday, Follow Me Friday, Plan to Podcast. So I had a different booking link or landing page through Zoom for all of my 5 shows. That helps me stay organized. You can do your separate files. So your guests file, your file. So the tracks are different if you need it to. I love how when someone is coming on as a guest, you can make it so that they see like a video or a picture, something like to hold space while you're waiting to start. So that was something that you can do to greet them or welcome them or help them warm up for what is to be the interview. So I love Zoom because you get so much with one tool. I love Zoom for that reason. It's a trusted name, a household brand. Some people I found do not like Zoom because maybe if you want to do the backgrounds, they're not the best looking backgrounds, but they've since even updated their backgrounds. And so there's more professional backgrounds. Some of you guys like to create your own. If you have a green screen and you want to do your own digital background, that's an option as well. But I love Zoom for that reason. Easy to stream, live record, AI summary tools, especially if I'm using it both for podcasting and then consulting podcasters. The AI summary tool helps me to think back to what the conversation was about. I can share that summary with the guest if they need to recall back on what they said. So I just loved it because it helped me stay organized and it provided so much for just $20. Second, and this is not in any particular order, ChatGPT. Of course, I use Gemini. Of course, I use Perplexity. There's others out there, but I love ChatGPT. We're here, like neck and neck, through and through. That's my bestie. That's my best friend, okay? ChatGPT is my go-to. I pay $20 for ChatGPT. I use it, obviously, to help me with a number of things, but I do create a lot of custom GPTs. And as a podcaster, you might decide to do that for yourself too. Custom GPT meaning I can tell it to perform this one task over and over and over again. So for instance, creating my YouTube titles, creating my descriptions, creating newsletters. I have an AI planner so that for one of my podcasts, if you were to go to my AI planner, it's a custom GPT. You can say, hey, I don't know what to do to prepare my business for the FIFA World Cup. I need some ideas. So I created a custom GPT for those people who go to my website, hostcityhustle.com/AI-planner. So I love ChatGPT because it helps me flesh out all of my ideas. It also now helps create really nice looking images. The part about the really now nice looking images. So it was already doing that, but it's gotten better. But above all else, as a podcaster, the custom GPTs are mwah. So think about what you're doing on your platform on a repeated basis that you can turn into a custom GPT to help you streamline that process, to help you automate things. Not necessarily automate, it's going to be automatic, but if you give it one prompt, it will do the thing that it needs to do. So you can say, this is what I like to do sometimes. I'll take my transcripts. So I like to record myself live on my camera. Hold on. I like to record video of myself, especially if I have a thought about something. If I am noticing there's a recurring theme in my Facebook community, I'll record myself talking about that thing. I will upload it to YouTube unlisted. I will take that transcript and then I will have my custom GPT turn that into a newsletter. So that's how I do things, especially as a busy mom. So there's really no excuse for you saying, oh, I don't have time to do that. Create a custom GPT. All you do is answer a few questions about what you want the GPT to be titled and what you want the GPT to do, and a few commands that you need to prompt it. And then you'll take whatever, create this into a blog, create this into a newsletter, create this into an SEO title for YouTube, whatever. You're giving it the prompt, setting that up once so that it can operate and do that thing repeatedly with another simple prompt, telling it, okay, this is what I need you to do for right now. So I love ChatGPT. This can help you, again, come up with the keywords for your podcast, come up with the SEO titles, help you create blogs. If you have a website for your podcast and you're not also using that same website as a place for blogs, then you're doing it wrong. That is the best way for you to show up at the top of the Google pages, SEO working in your favor. You should be having blogs on your website. And the best way you can do that is through a custom GPT. Repurposing your content. Take that transcript that you did for that podcast episode, throw it into your GPT, tell the GPT to create the newsletter. Take that newsletter, put it back on your website, and there you have a blog and you have more traffic coming to your website because you've established yourself as an expert about a particular thing. Okay, Notebook LM. This is probably the newest one to the bunch, but I love me some Notebook LM, okay? So I talked about the transcripts from a podcast episode. Take that same transcript, plug it into Notebook LM. Notebook LM can come up with a mind map, a slide deck, an explainer video, a case study. The world and possibilities are truly endless. And it's just with one simple copy and paste. It will create all of those things for you, and it actually is very good. So for the sake of time, I'm not going to share my screen, but if you ask me to share you an example in the back channel, I will definitely gladly send you some example videos. Explainer videos, for instance, if you're starting a course or a community, you can use Notebook LM to create the course. That simple. If you need a slide deck created instantaneously based on some of your old content, you can do that. I love Notebook LM. And I think because I paid $20 for Gemini, I get access to the Notebook LM. I didn't look into that yet, but it's worth it. It is worth it, and it'll save you some time. You can even repurpose your content into a slide deck, an explainer video, a guide, or whatever, and then you can sell that as a digital download for $1.99, $4.99, $5.99. So that's another way for you to start monetizing some of your content and repurposing your content, okay? Google, all things Google. Google, 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 Google. Google Suite, the whole entire Google Suite. Because, oh my gosh, Google Forms, Google Docs, Google Spreadsheets, Google Messenger, Google Calendar, Gemini. If you need to convert your MP4, meaning your video, into an MP3, meaning audio, because you're uploading audio to one of these podcast platforms, you can use Google because Cloud Convert is right there. Now, you do have to pay like $9 for Cloud Convert. That's CLOUDCONVERT.com. But everything is just so easy and accessible under one umbrella. I love Google. HoneyBook. I just told you guys at the top of the hour that I just did a webinar walking some people through my backend, my CRM tool, Customer Relationship Manager, or Customer Relationship Management. I don't know, however you say it, but CRM. So basically it's a dashboard. It's where I create leads. So if I want to collect information from someone, or if I want to have them schedule with me, I can create any kind of form where I can collect payments, collect their information, get information about, their podcast, their pictures, their files, whatever I need with a lead form. Or a lead magnet. For some of us are going to be using lead magnet tools to basically build our email list. So you can create any of those things through HoneyBook. It's also great for invoicing. It's great for contracts, templates, managing finances at a very basic level. It's a time tracker. So if you have some freelancers or people that you're working with who do certain topics or jobs, you can track their time in the dashboard, any of those things. HoneyBook is extremely helpful. Automation tools, how did I forget to mention that? So basically, I can set this thing up once so that they will get emails on a frequent basis without me having to manually send emails all of the time. So for instance, if you're onboarding a new client that you're working with, you can set up a workflow once or an automation once so that it will be on a sequence. Maybe you want to send something out to them every month. The first thing is the welcome email. The second thing is a check-in. The third thing is buy my book. The fourth thing is be a guest on the podcast. The fifth thing might be let's do a masterclass together. The sixth thing might be like, let's do a retreat together. So that's the automated emails that you set up. You do it once and it will send out the emails without you having to manually constantly do these check-ins with people. So HoneyBook is extremely valuable. Canva, of course, it comes with all of the templates, whether you're doing an ebook, the cover art for your episodes, for your podcast, whether you're doing a PDF for a digital download. Canva is go-to. It's clutch. I love how you can categorize everything. So for me, who has multiple podcasts, I can have this workspace for Host City Hustle podcast and this workspace for Plan to Podcast, and all of my digital assets, all of my hex files, all of my brand colors, all of my branding materials are in each of the different workspaces. So it's great when you're trying to come up with something. I will say the equivalent of Canva, in my opinion, is Poster My Wall, PosterMywall.com. Canva, after that is CapCut. There's so many editing tools out there. But I'm for what can I get for cheap that serves multiple purposes. So yes, there is Hindenburg, there is Descript, there's Audacity, there's GarageBand, all for your editing purposes. But CapCut is a teleprompter. CapCut converts long form to short form clips. CapCut helps me edit my podcast, especially if you have a video podcast. It is a little different if you have audio. Audio only, like an MP3 files, but would be hard to chop up in CapCut. But you can also use AI tools, including turning your picture into an AI video, all of your short form reels. AI is clutch. So if you guys are familiar with TikTok and CapCut were basically introduced in the same way. So all of your TikTok stuff can be edited and sent directly through. All of your reels can be edited through TikTok, through CapCut, and sent to TikTok. Let me say that again. You can edit on CapCut your short form content, and then like the trending audio sounds, all of the templates and all of that stuff. And then it could be uploaded to TikTok. So I love CapCut. And I have 5 more minutes, so that's why I'm starting to rush and stumble. Facebook, maybe not so much for many things, but for the groups. Some of you guys need to be in these communities. So if your podcast is about wellness, you should figure out what are the best 10 wellness groups you can be in to be in community on Facebook. So I know that it feels stagnant for some people, but depending on what your goals are, the Facebook groups are king. So they help you connect and network. Maybe you're looking for guests. There is Need a Guest on Facebook, which has, I think, upwards of 30 or 70,000 people. That's where a lot of people find their guests. But I would highly recommend it. I'm building my community. Again, shout out to my group, Plan to Podcast. If you're not a member, make sure you find us and join. The easiest way for you to follow Plan to Podcast on Facebook, or you can go to plantopodcast.com and it will give you access to our community. All right. And then YouTube I love, obviously, because it's the second largest search engine. And so if you do very well about SEO, giving your titles, having a really good thumbnail, people can discover you. I love that they also added the collaboration feature. So if you are guesting on someone's platform or vice versa, you two can tag one another. So you're sharing different audiences in a more streamlined fashion. And they also made it so you can hype other videos. So somebody can hype your video up so you can move up to the top of the algorithms and be seen amongst more people in the algorithm feeds. So I love those two features. And of course, it's just easier discoverability. It's hard if you are not doing a very good job about consistency, about quality, and about thumbnails, but it is still the second largest search engine. It's where I have tried more earnestly to stick to my community. So like this live is on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch right now, but I can repurpose this more through the community tabs on YouTube and through the shorts. But I speak directly to my community. And so I don't worry necessarily about reaching anybody else per se, but if it happens, great. But I know that with me going to YouTube, it can happen. Maybe my content is not reaching the people in big numbers now, but there may be a time where somebody's looking for a particular topic and they might discover me, and that could take off at any given moment. So I love YouTube. Substack, to close this out. Let me make sure that's the last one. Yeah, Substack to close this out. I love Substack. I used to use MailChimp for a newsletter. I know there's Beehive out there, but I love Substack because not only can I record live natively in the app, I can also do my podcast RSS feed through Substack. I can do my blogs through Substack. I can import my email list into Substack so that anytime I go live or send or upload a new video, it will be sent across my email list. So you guys, I'm going to end and wrap with that. I'm going to go back to my chat. I'm going to see if I missed any questions. Yes, Substack is the bomb. So I recently started doing this to try things out, but I currently have Spreaker, 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 which is great for monetization. I have Red Circle, which is the one that I've been with the most. I'm talking about podcast platforms, the ones that are responsible for disseminating your content to all of the other podcast directories. So I have Spreaker, Substack, Red Circle, redcircle.com. I'm trying all of them. And then, of course, you can also use YouTube, which now has a place for podcast RSS feeds. So I'm using basically all four of those. And I love Substack above all else because, like I said, you can do so much in one app. And it's free to use, but you can also set different tiers so that your community is paying you based on the different benefits of each tier. So like $50 for the private back end conversation, things that I'm actually going and doing a deeper dive. So I did one of my last videos for my $50 subscriber was me going through my whole back end, my whole filing system of how I have different categories on Google to file the different things for my podcast. Because if you're ever thinking about an exit plan, or if you want to sell your podcast assets or something, you should be tracking that stuff now. So I went in and I did a deep dive of all the different filing systems for my podcast. And so I shared that with my community that paid me $50. So that's one of the other benefits. You can set different tiers and they pay the different rate to get the different benefits. So recording live or pre-recordings, or you can upload your podcast content, or you can just do audio only or video only. It all sends them an email whenever you go live or whenever you do a new episode or whatever. And then it's also available to just do a blog or newsletter. So I love Substack. But you guys, I need to go get my kid off of the bus. I appreciate you tapping in. Share this with a friend. If you have any more questions, never hesitate to reach out. I'll share my links one more time. Join our community, plantopodcast.com. Or if you need my direct services, it is DaniMarie.com. Or if you just want to schedule with me because you want to be a guest on the platform, or you just want to book right away, call my assistant, 253-349-2134. And then I did see some comments. Someone said plan in the chat, so I will add that. If I was to give a bonus, ManyChat, ManyChat.com is an autoresponder. So for instance, when somebody makes a comment like plan or studio, I don't have to send them anything directly. It will trigger something in ManyChat, and ManyChat will automatically send them whatever the thing is to their inbox. I don't have that set up because there's a problem with all my different pages. That's the only reason why I'm not using ManyChat, but I would recommend ManyChat as well. So I will have to manually respond to those of you who commented the word plan and make sure you get that planner. But thank you guys for tapping in. Let me know also what's a good time for me to do these lives. I think this is actually a good time, but if I needed to do them earlier in the day, let me know that too. I appreciate you. This is DaniMarie with Plan to Podcast Live. We talked podcast tools, trends, and tips for 2026. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have an enjoyable Monday.